Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show. AskBrien, and that's AskBrien.com. And for anyone who doesn't know, my co-host is the notorious, the fabulous, the awesome, Alex Grossman. Alex, you there?
Thank you, Mr. Brien Johnson. Don't try to pass out when you're doing that. You're getting a little long on those.
Well, I'm just want to make sure that everybody understands and can pronounce your name, So, everybody knows Alex Grossman is my co-host. And, I want to make sure everybody knows who you are, and I make sure of that every day. I also have a boxing match every time I start the show, and I'm about 10-10, so I'm 500. Half the time I'm winning, half the time I'm losing. But, that imaginary box is really tough. So for those of us who've never listened to the show, I don't know really what to tell you. I mean, obviously, you're listening today, and that's probably the best thing you've ever done in your life, because the Ask Brien radio show is basically a show where each week we interview a CEO or a startup, or sometimes both, where we try to teach somebody a business lesson. That's our goal of every show. And Ask Brien, which is AskBrien, because the only way to spell Brien is I-E-N. I don't know why anyone would spell it A-N or Y-A-N. Some people, I don't know. They're weird. What can I say? But the only way to spell Brien is B-R-I-E-N. Ask Brien and the radio show itself came about because we have a website called AskBrien.com. AskBrien.com has a business community that can ask and answer questions, as well as experts that will answer those questions. Experts pretty much have to apply and be approved. Standardized are if you have 10,000 hours in your in a field then you can become an expert. There are certain other qualifications. We go through a process. We don't allow anyone to become an expert, but if you do qualify and you do become an expert, you get extra benefits. One of which is you can post your videos on the site, you can post your blogs on the site, you can post ebooks on the site, and you can get into our webinar programming scheduling system whereby people can watch and listen to your webinars at any time, and kind of like an on-demand DirecTV concept. So that's all available to everybody. And the radio show is just one part of the website. But the goal here, each and every week, is to teach you something about business. So if you're a business owner, this is the place to go. If you've never owned a business, this still is the place to go. Why? You may want to own a business someday. You can understand the good parts and the bad parts about owning a business. The reality is, usually in the beginning, I've never known of too many businesses where you don't have to work crazy hours to get to the level where you can be successful. People that don't work hours, you don't put in the time, you don't get it. Now, if you're listening on Facebook, and not everybody is, but we are live on Facebook. I'm going to show you my sweatshirt. And what does my sweatshirt say? I'm going to ask the engineer, what does my sweatshirt say? Can you get that?
It says failure is not an option.
That is right. Failure is not an option. And what we try to do on Ask Brien each week is to try to come up with solutions and solve problems and make it so that you will never have to encourage that. You'll not need that name. Failure is not an option. Why? Because you will be succeeding. Now, without any further ado, we have our guest. And I'm not going to go crazy on it. Mr. Jason Hull. Jason, you there?
I'm here.
All right. And you haven't left yet, huh? That's pretty good. That's you passed test 1. Okay. Now, not everybody knows who you are. So I like to go through your background a little bit. So currently you're with a company called Door Growth. But before you did that, what were you doing? And then I want to discuss what Door Growth is and then go into some additional questions. So where did you start before that?
Okay, so the company's called Door Grow.
Okay.
And before that, our company was called Open Potion. And we were just focused on website design. And then how far back do you want me to go? I mean, before that, I had jobs working.
Well, in kindergarten, what were you doing? No.
Yeah. So in kindergarten, I was the joker in class, and
but I'm the
jester
on the radio. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll let you have it. So Yeah, so I have a background in the tech industry. I've worked I worked at Verizon. I've worked at Hewlett Packard up in Boise. I've always just been a nerd, and eventually found out my job at HP was going to India, and I'd accidentally been CC'd on an email that had a full graphical plan and roadmap of my termination and training some people in India, which they had just started me doing. But I realized I was being lied to, and I was being told by my manager that things that weren't true, and I figured out I was training my replacement. So I quit that day, went to work for a small business, helping them. They were helping do reverse mergers and acquisitions and stuff at the time, and help them do some website stuff, and some IT stuff and nerdy stuff. And then then the stock market completely shifted, back around 2000 and 6, 7, and the rules changed, and their company basically couldn't pay me anymore. And so I said, okay, you guys are a client, and I started Open Potion in 2008. I launched a business and started doing websites for anybody. And you said failure is not an option. I think I've built my entire business career on thousands and thousands of failures. But the idea of that failure is not an option is absolutely ingrained, that I won't give up.
Well, I think you have to do a couple of things. So Open Potion, what is the difference between Open Potion and DoorGrow?
Yeah, so really, DoorGrow is a DBA of Open Potion, if we're getting technical and on paper. So other than that, it's just really my company. So the difference really is that about 3 or 4 years ago, I ate my own dog food, got a little smarter, and decided to rebrand and really go all in, focusing on a niche. And, as I've heard Grant Cardone say, the riches are in the niches. And so the more focused I made my business on who we wanted to serve, and the greater the clarity I had on who I really wanted to help, the easier it was to systemize my business, and the easier it was to really provide value, and the easier it was to lower operational costs, and everything really got easier. And then we've grown significantly since then. So we're running at about $1 million run rate. I think we've done maybe 1.2 million in the last 12 months, and we're steadily growing.
So is that a digital agency, or what is that?
Yeah, so basically we're a virtual company, and what we provide is coaching and consulting and digital agency services for property management companies that are wanting to grow their businesses.
And is that anywhere in the U.S., anywhere in the world, or anywhere in California?
Anywhere. Most of our clients are in the U.S. We have some in Canada. We probably could serve anyone in the world, but we've largely just been focused on dominating in the U.S.
Now, when you say property manager, you're referring to owners that have rental units, specifically apartments, or doesn't matter what they have?
Yeah, so our clientele are property management entrepreneurs, and they have companies that serve property owners. And so they will manage rental properties for and on behalf of owners, but that won't want that really don't do a fun job of being the landlord, doing tenant placement, handling maintenance requests. So property management businesses take that off their plate and collect rent and do all that, and they keep a percentage. They take a little cut and take that whole part-time job off of the homeowner's plate.
Okay, you're sounding fine now, but for a second or two you were off a little bit, so I'm not sure if that was the studio or yourself, but if you change your position or something, just stay where you are because it's working out fine now.
Yeah.
So basically, is your client then is the property, you're a property manager, you're referring to the property manager, not to specific owners of property, correct? Is your target?
Yeah, so I serve the business owners that manage properties for homeowners.
So that's fine. Now, and Open Potion was basically anything, and you niched it down into DoorGrow. Is that correct?
Yeah, Open Potion largely we just focused on website design, and it was for any business.
And uh, do you not focus solely on web design now? You focus on other things besides web design?
Yeah, so we still do web design for our clients, but we focus on anything that's causing constraints or leaks in their sales pipeline. So we help them clean up their branding, consult them on pricing strategy and psychology, help them figure out how to set up their sales process, basically anything that's going to help them grow their company.
Okay, so I know this, and Alex knows this, and you know this, but not all listeners know this. So when we're referring to leakage in a funnel or something of that nature, first let's go over what that means from a perspective. So we don't need to spend a lot of time, but let's just go over. So we're referring, when you say leakage, you're referring basically to some type of sales funnel where you bring in unqualified, cold leads to try to get them to convert into a customer. That's your sales funnel. And so you're referring to leakage that some of them are falling off the funnel. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, so the way I look at a business, you have kind of the front end, and then you have sort of the fulfillment side. And the front end would be like sales, marketing, all the stuff that kind of feeds deals in. And then once you acquire a client or a customer, then they would shift into sort of that fulfillment side. So I help with the front end portion so that they can drive more business and more warm leads and close more deals and get more sales into the business. We help optimize that process.
So, Jason, in that, I think it's really exciting, and I know that you have these two companies, but talking about DoorGrow, where you're actually, you've been able to look at that property management side, and I know your background a little bit. It seems like your family was in real estate, and I read somewhere your brother had something like 600 properties in Southern California. So I think you have a pretty unique perspective on how that management is there. But do you find that as you help people to do this, it's more than just the website when you talk about that sales funnel? It's really about how they go about and do it, and you have a better method. Is that really where your unique perspective on this business is?
Yeah, so one of my unique talents, I think, is that I'm insatiably curious. And I love to learn, and I'm always digging. And I love to pull in things from a variety of channels, like it's stuff that most people would probably not even pay attention to because it's outside their comfort zone or their worldview. So I just love to pull in stuff from all over the place and learn. And that's kind of my personal mission statement in life, is to inspire others to love true principles. And so what that means is I just love figuring out what actually works, like truth, and then sharing it with other people. That's just fun for me. And so I get to spend my days just doing that. And that's how I built my company. We basically take a look at what most people would consider normal to do in business or to grow a company, and we questioned it, and we tested it, and we looked at whether it was working or not. And we found that most things that people would believe or buy into weren't really working, and it was really challenging for them. And we want our clients to actually succeed and win, not just to close a deal and make money off of them. And so we pivoted significantly as a company. Originally we were doing website design, and then I found that clients weren't even answering their phone calls. And then we started doing pay-per-click and generating leads, and they weren't answering their phone calls. They weren't able to deal with these leads. So I then had to teach them how to build a sales process. And then we realized that most of the property management companies that we were trying to target didn't have the revenue to really afford us or to work with us. So I was like, okay, I'm going to create a program that helps these 50 units or less management companies that have too small portfolios. They're solopreneurs. They're stuck. They can't afford to hire anybody. They back themselves into a financial corner. I'm going to help them figure out how to get out of that. I'm going to create a program to help them move past that initial 100-door barrier in that industry and break past that so that they can afford to do some nice marketing stuff with us. So I created this program, and it was so effective that they would go through it and get such great results that they did not want to do marketing with us. It was so effective at helping them generate warm leads, they didn't want to pay for cold leads, which is all advertising really can give somebody, whether it's SEO
Right.
or pay-per-click or content marketing or social media marketing or pay-per-lead services. And that's how most businesses try to grow. Well, in an industry like property management, it really doesn't make sense because there's so little awareness. Even you guys are asking me all these questions about what is property management, and most people are just not aware of it. It's not a household word here in the U.S. Only maybe about 30% of single-family residential rental properties are professionally managed in the U.S. If you contrast it with Australia, about 80% of single-family rental properties are managed professionally by a property manager, and property manager is a household word there like realtor is here.
Right. So I want to dig into that further, and I want to mention something on top of that, though. I realize that a lot of people don't use property managers because they don't see the value. But if they did, if they just used them, from my own personal experience, if they just used them, they'd see the value of being able to have, continuous rentals, that they don't have to worry about what happens if I, lose a few months of rental, or how do I background check people? What do I need to do? I mean, there's extreme value to it, but, it seems to me that since it's such a small number of people using it, the marketing, I mean, there's two types of marketing in this, right, that we always talk about. There's the organic marketing, which is passive, right? People go in and they passively, you stick up a website, you do basic passive organic marketing. And then there's what all of us like to call, SEO, and probably the most popular piece of SEO is PPC, which for people that don't know, SEO, search engine marketing, and PPC, pay-per-click. That's probably the most, the most frequent. But I've heard you say there's myths around that it works or doesn't work. And is that unique to this business, or how have you built a program that helps people, eliminate some of that cost? And can you kind of drive us through that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, if you take a look at growing a business, there's really ultimately, every business, regardless, has basically like 5 core functions in the business that happen kind of in succession. And so at the very beginning, you have lead gen. You have to generate leads. Then after that, you have lead nurture. So you have to nurture these leads towards the close, to close a deal. And then the close happens at conversion, which is a stage. That's kind of where, that's where the deal is closed and sales happen. And then after that, you have delivery or fulfillment. And then after that, you have basically retention and upsell, right? Is to maximize the lifetime value of a single customer, right? Because, your number one prospect is your customer. And so if you take a look, so most people are like, man, I really want to increase my revenue in my company, or I really want to make money, or I really want to do this. Well, they usually lump all of that stuff into, and they kind of throw it all in the garbage mentally and think, I need marketing, I need advertising. And because that's how I get more sales, I just need more advertising.
That's a basic principle that people do, right? They say, well, I don't know these people. It's not a friends and family thing. I don't already buy a business. Maybe I buy a business that has a certain customer base, and then I jump to retention and upsell, and I don't want to grow it. But for the most part, people start out, they have a great product, a great idea, but now they have to shout it out to people, right? If it's a brick and mortar business, you put a big sign up. If it's a virtual business, how do you do it, right?
Yeah, so if you talk to, whether it's virtual or brick and mortar, if you talk to most business owners and say, how have you grown your business? The vast majority of small business owners are going to, if you say, where have you actually gotten your acquisitions? Where have you actually acquired clients from? What channel? The bulk of them that are growing and that are healthy will almost always say word of mouth. They'll say word of mouth or referrals or people hear about us. And that's the crux of a small business. And so And usually if people are doing a bunch of advertising, they're not segregating the leads that come in and taking a look at which things are coming in warm through word of mouth or warm lead channels or referrals, and which things are coming through our advertising efforts that are cold lead channels. And if you lump them all together, it's very easy to mistakenly justify the cold lead marketing that you're doing.
So we usually call that unqualified leads and qualified leads, right? So you rank these leads A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3. So that's kind of the example. You look at them the same way?
Well, when I look at unqualified or qualified, it's just that whether they're qualified or not simply means whether or not they're actually a good fit for your business. Cold leads versus warm leads, the differentiator, they might all be a good fit for your business, the cold leads and warm leads that you're getting. The difference between a cold lead and a warm lead is whether they know you, trust you, and like you. That's it. So at the very cold end of the spectrum, they don't know you, trust you, or like you. They don't believe in you. They think you're like all of your competitors. You're a commodity. They're incredibly price sensitive at that stage. The warm side, there's trust. Maybe they came from a warm referral, word of mouth. They looked at really good Yelp reviews or something. They're already at a higher level of trust. They're less price sensitive. They're more willing to spend more to get more value. And the close rate difference between cold and warm leads is really dramatic. So most businesses on the cold lead side, they're probably closing maybe 1 out of 10 sort of leads, maybe worse, right? So that would be a 10% close rate. On the warm lead side, most business owners you talk to, they're like, well, you ask a business owner, well, what's your close rate? I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, oh, we close like 90%. And when they say that, I know that means they're getting almost all their business or leads through warm channels, because that's the only way you can have a close rate that high. So
yeah, that's very unusual.
Because they'll say, oh, yeah, we close everybody. Like we have like 90% close rate. Great. Where are you getting your leads? Word of mouth. Right. So the thing with word of mouth is you don't have to sell to them. They're already pretty much sold. You just have to take their name and get a signature a lot of times in that situation. And so the challenge is that nurture that has to happen between cold and warm if you're playing the game of cold leads. The big mistake business owners make, though, is they are used to warm leads. Then they go out and try and find a marketing company, and they're saying, well, we're crushing it with this close rate and with these warm leads. We just need to buy more leads because all leads are equal.
We're going to be right back.
Which is not true.
Just hold on.
Specializes in designing websites for your business. Small Dog Creative. The Small Dog Creative team is made up of local designers who are hands-on. Their talented team of experts build premium websites and redefine branding. Small Dog Creative doesn't just build websites. They'll upgrade your business's online presence and turn your business into a powerful online brand. Small Dog Creative, Santa Clarita's most innovative web and design company. SmallDogCreative.com.
The stress was unbelievable.
Debbie Morris is a changed woman.
A giant boulder's been lifted.
Debbie called Made for You.
I'd finished a day of work.
Professional, residential, and commercial cleaning.
Walk into my house.
Made for You.
It was an absolute pigsty.
Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or even one-time seasonal cleaning.
Our mess kept growing.
255-2922.
Even when we weren't home.
255-2922.
Made for You rescued me.
If you have a business problem, if someone doesn't honor their agreement and you need an aggressive attorney with over 27 years experience, the law office of Peter Bronstein has helped partners resolve disputes, franchisees resolve disputes, and other business owners who have a challenge. Let the law office of Peter Bronstein take your stress away. Visit lacorporateattorney.com. Don't wait too long and lose your rights. Solve your business challenge problem today. Visit lacorporateattorney.com. We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
Santa Clarita's public junior highs and high schools are some of the best in the nation. Who makes that claim? How about U.S. News and World Report naming all of the high schools in the top 10% in the country? How about Hart District students scoring 20 percentage points higher on standardized tests than their peers across the county and state? And when it comes to athletics, performing arts, and great teachers, no other schools can compete. These schools are part of our community. They are part of our lives. Enrich your students' life with the schools of the Hart School District.
Kyle, guess what's coming up?
It's the KHTS Home and Garden Show at Emergency Expo.
April 27th and 28th at Central Park.
Free admission.
Over one weekend, over 20,000 homeowners, Santa Clarita homeowners, visit this every single year.
It's one of the biggest home shows in not just Southern California, but California.
My favorite is the marketplace.
It's local craft stuff. It's awesome.
A lot of activities for the kids. They've got the petting zoo, pony rides. But if you want to be a part of this, there is always room for your business.
That's true. And this is an opportunity that is like no other. You're going to get, like you just said, about 20,000 people over the weekend to come and check out your business. So there's still vendor opportunities available.
That's the only question I have. If a vendor is listening right now and they say to themselves, that's what I want to be a part of, now what?
You can call 298-1220, 298-1220, or go to scvhomeshow.com.
Welcome back. Ask Brien, Brien, at 12:20 a.m. and 98.1 FM. We have it all covered. And we've got an excellent show, and I'm not even going to go into all the little things I usually do because we have such a great guest. I want to make sure we get as much information out of him as possible. Yes, we do like to take information. Jason, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so some of the people have been asking, they don't understand, they understand what word of mouth means from a regular store because, hey, I can tell somebody, hey, go over to, use DoorGrow. But when you have a virtual company, an internet company, and you're not Amazon yet or eBay yet, how are you going to grow on word of mouth? People don't. People aren't going to be talking about it in that way. People talk about it kind of like online, but not really word of mouth. So explain that to people.
So I think word of mouth online is even faster and more efficient. So I'll give you an example. Somebody goes and posts on Facebook and says, hey, does anybody know somebody that can help me with podcast production? Boom, suddenly they have everybody and their dog's cousin, is posting or whatever, is posting something about somebody they know, and they are mentioning people and tagging people, and they're tagging people that do that service, and those people instantly are saying, hey, I can help you out with this, I can help you. And then all of a sudden you're getting private messages on Facebook instantly that of people that want to get you on as a client to help you with podcast production. It's fast.
Well, okay, that I can see that for a service or something that somebody needs, but how would that apply if I have an online store and I'm selling jackets?
Yeah, so I think, the challenge is if you are just selling commodities online, then you're just retail. The challenge is everybody's going to just gravitate towards whatever's easiest or cheapest. And that's a really difficult competitive space. Word of mouth isn't going to say, hey, you can buy the same jacket on Amazon for less, but come use this guy because he's a really good guy. So there are some challenges in those kind of situations, But I think word of mouth online includes some of the standard channels that exist in brick and mortar. So people do check out for our business. We're virtual. And we're online, and people check out our reviews on Google and on Yelp. They watch YouTube videos of us and of me and of my podcast and show, trying to figure out if we're legit. And another thing that's been really effective for us is to have case studies and digital assets on our website that showcase proof that we exist. And so And that's really the crux of a website's job, is to create trust, not to manipulate Google, not to get to the top spot in Google. It's to get conversions and to create trust, because sales happens at the speed of trust, period.
But now, Jason, that's interesting, but they have to find you first, right?
That was my question, eyeballs.
Yeah, right. How do you get the eyeballs on the site? And I love what you're saying here. Don't get me wrong. I think it's great. But they got to find you first. So you can have, and it's going to sound terrible, you can have a killer website where, it has Better Business Bureau on there and Forbes magazine and, trusted number one source and 100 Yelp reviews. But without them finding you first through some type of search criteria, how do you do it? Right?
Yeah. So you bring up a really good point. So if you have a website, it really just is a brochure, right? Technically.
Right.
And so you have to get traffic to that website. And you need to get eyeballs on it in order to do that. Most people play the SEO lottery to try and make that happen. And if you win the SEO lottery, it's a big payout. It's really nice, right? But the problem is, in most industries, in most markets, in local markets, or even in national competitive keywords, that's a really difficult game to make headway in, because you're competing with the biggest companies in the world that are spending thousands and thousands of dollars a month to maintain that spot. The opportunity to overtake them is pretty slim. And so it's playing that lottery is kind of like going to Vegas with a small fortune and thinking you're going to come out with a big one. And it just doesn't tend to pan out. And sometimes you get one noisy winner, and everybody sees these noisy winners in the marketplace, and they go, well, it worked for that guy. Look at that noisy winner over there. He's getting his photo taken next to his new car, But I think that creates this false sense of competition in a lot of markets, especially in our industry that we target. And while there's like so much available potential market share out there. So I think for us, what we've done is we've used more organic type of channels and things that have allowed us to get ourselves out there. So we do podcast production and put out a podcast. And so we, just like you guys doing your show, we put out a podcast that serves our audience. We have content that serves our audience. And I think one mistake that I've seen in the property management industry and some small business owners will make is they will put out maybe their own podcast or maybe a blog or content articles or whatever, but they don't do it as based on stuff that their target audience are actually interested in. They do it based on what their own business. And I'll give you an example. So property management business owners would love for people to subscribe to their blog and follow them on social media. But how many homeowners care at all about property management? None of them. Not even their clients. Their clients don't even care about property management. Their clients are using them as a service provider because they don't want to pay attention to their property. They don't want to have to do that. And the example I'll share with property managers to help drive this home is I'll say, how many of you as a property management business owner subscribe to a plumber's blog? Do you subscribe to a plumber's blog or to a plumber's podcast? Because plumbers want your business. They want to come get jobs from this property management company. And they say, none. I don't subscribe to any of those. And I say, well, why not? They're like, because I don't care about plumbing. I said, but you need plumbers occasionally, right? And they're like, yeah, but I don't care about plumbing. So you have to figure out, it's really basic stuff. Like you have to figure out what your target audience actually cares about and where they actually hang out.
Sure, and these techniques work not only for property managers, but those techniques work for most businesses, right? I mean, it's you've got to have keywords, so to speak, that people want to hear so that you're talking about things that concern them and can bring them in, and that gives you a larger audience. That's generally the way organic marketing is done, right? So, and whether it's local or it's virtual or on the web and online, you still want to have the products or services outlined that people want, and you need to show them value in doing that in the podcast or other tools that you use in order to do that. So I guess you produce podcasts as well for your clients. Is that part of your service in your program? Or do you help them with
we
that?
Don't produce. No, we don't. We don't help them with that. We'll probably be releasing a training so I can teach them how I do it. I usually am more of a teacher, and then I let them implement and coach them through it. Yeah, But I think as far as like any business owner could easily, for example, create a podcast in their local market to establish themselves as an authority for their local business. And if you are virtual, you can create a podcast serving your target audience, and it would be relevant to them. It might not even be about your business, So if somebody was a graphic designer that focused on branding, you could have a podcast just on running a business, and then at the end of each episode, plug his branding services. If you need branding and print collateral, hit me up. And so that's one channel. I think online reviews still matter. So Yelp, Google, those kind of things still matter, even if you're a virtual company. People want to check you out. And people look around online and they want proof. So I think it's really important to give them social proof. That could be videos up on YouTube of your clients talking about your business positively. Or it could be, people posting an article online about your business. But, PR. So there's two main channels in marketing. If you go to college and take classes on marketing, they're going to teach you two main channels. One is PR, public relations, and the other is advertising. And the thing to keep in mind, this was taught to me like in marketing 101 classes in college, it was like PR is what builds brands. Advertising just maintains market share.
Right.
So the mistake most business owners make is they perceive that advertising is going to build my brand and get me awareness and deals in business. But if you look, for example, a lot of people have iPhones in their pocket. I've got an iPhone, and a lot of people have iPhones. But when the iPhone came out, it wasn't because Apple did a whole bunch of advertising. It was because everybody was talking about the iPhone. They got everybody talking about it. And the iPhone had great PR. It had tons of PR. Apple just is announcing their new AirPods or whatever. Like everybody's talking about it. They've got PR. Every tech video blogger and whatever wants to put out a video now about the new AirPods because they want to look relevant. And so they get constant PR. PR builds brands. Advertising usually just helps maintain it. So Coca-Cola will always probably maintain 60 or whatever % of the cola industry simply because they just keep advertising because they've already done the PR work in the beginning, and it'll be almost impossible to dethrone them as long as they continue to do advertising.
So are you saying that when you launch a business that you shouldn't be advertising PPC and SEO if you had an online business? You should be trying to spend your time and effort on publicity, or I mean, you have to have a funnel, and you have to have a big glob of people first. And are you saying you just do it through PR, or and forgetting about PPC and SEO, or are you saying something else?
So here's the basic funnel that needs to exist in a business before you start doing advertising. Because here's the thing to consider. So imagine that all the way between awareness and closing a deal, you've got a hose. And this hose is your sales pipeline. At the other end of the hose, there's a little tree or plant you want to grow that's your business. At the other end, opposite of that, there is the spigot that you turn on and the water. So that spigot is marketing. And what most people do is they have this hose that has all these massive leaks. It's not shored up, it's not effective, and they'll turn on the spigot full blast when they get their business started, spending a whole bunch of money on marketing. And they're wondering why not much is dripping out the other end of the hose. And so these are the major things we've identified at our company that we want to help clients with in their sales pipeline. So at the very beginning stage at awareness, there's branding. So if the brand is off, so for example, in our industry, you might have a business that calls themselves, ABC Real Estate, even though they do property management. And it seems somewhat related, but a lot of people will not go with that company simply because they're looking for a specialist. This is the biggest investment they've ever had, this property. They want a specialist to manage it. So they're looking for a property management business. And so between ABC Real Estate and XYZ Property Management, they're like, let's go look at XYZ Property Management. They specialize in this. And so they could be losing half the amount of deals and leads just from that first leak that they could or should be getting. we've helped several companies rebrand, and it significantly increased their lead flow without changing any advertising.
That's not branding, that's messaging. So not to argue with you, but there's branding and sub-branding, and I just happen to have a little bit of knowledge on how the iPhone came about, unfortunately, having been there. But the interesting thing about it is what you're saying is 100% true. You have to establish your segment, understand where you are in the segment, then brand yourself to the product or service that you offer, so it's clearly understood. And this is again the big argument of what they used to call Web 2.0, where you look at these new brands. I look at all these new brands, and no matter what industry it's in, it's some catchy name spelled missing a vowel so that they can make it a cool, catchy name. But you look at their website and you have no idea. Is it a product? Is it a service? What do they sell? What do they do? And so you're not establishing the messaging below the branding to understand where it is. So branding, just so the audience understands, branding isn't just giving it a cool name. Branding is putting the message out there and the messaging of what you do and how it relates to what you do. And, of course, having what you do in the name is always preferable. But, as a lot of us know, all the good names are gone. That was, the joke we said in the 80s where all the good names are gone, and here we are X number of years later, and we're still the good names are gone, right? So, so you do the basics. Sounds like you do the basics for people who miss over that, which is about probably 80% of the market. People don't get the basics, right? Because their business is their business. Their business isn't marketing, right?
All right, we got about 25
seconds. Okay.
Oh, another break.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, just at that first leak, branding, we can get into others. People lose a lot of potential business just because that has the biggest impact on word of mouth.
We're going to be taking
any of the stages.
We're going to be taking a break, and Jason's going to come back and explain if you don't have money for PPC and SEO, how can you launch a brand?
The city of Santa Clarita has so much going on this year. Be on the lookout for amazing events happening throughout the year, including the Cowboy Festival, concerts in the park, Thursdays at New Hall, and the Santa Clarita Marathon. There are also a number of fun activities and things to do year-round, including outdoor recreation, hiking and bike trails, adult classes, art exhibits, youth sports programs, and more. You can even sign up to be a volunteer. Learn more at santa-clarita.com.
You already know Salt Creek Grill has the best food in our valley. Well, now you can have Salt Creek's gourmet meals catered to your event.
I'm Greg Amsler, owner of Salt Creek Grill. I'd like to introduce you to a new level of catering, featuring our catering director, Tamara Levine.
Salt Creek Grill creates memorable experiences, which leaves our clients and guests with a sense of awe and excitement. From menu development to picturesque presentation, you'll enjoy culinary excellence and creative catering.
Salt Creek Grill, a new level of catering.
College of the Canyon short-term classes begin in April and finish in May. Learn a new skill such as photography or career and life planning. Pick up a quick transferable class such as political science or math. Too busy? Take an online class. Textbooks too expensive? Search our class schedule for OER classes which don't require you to buy textbooks. Need to take a class this summer? Our summer schedule is already online. Visit canyons.edu/class schedule now.
If you have a business problem, if someone doesn't honor their agreement and you need an aggressive attorney with over 27 years experience, the law office of Peter Bronstein has helped partners resolve disputes, franchisees resolve disputes, and other business owners who have a challenge. Let the law office of Peter Bronstein take your stress away. Visit lacorporateattorney.com. Don't wait too long and lose your rights. Solve your business challenge problem today. Visit lacorporateattorney.com.
Great healthcare just got easier and more convenient in Canyon Country. Facey Canyon Country is now open directly off the Soledad Canyon exit off the 14 freeway. The 37,000 square foot clinic houses Facey Medical Group primary care physicians, pediatricians, and specialists. Facey has easy 24/7 online appointment scheduling for PCPs and PEDS. For more information or to make an appointment, visit facey.com. That's FACEY.com.
Welcome to the Ask Brien Show. The following is paid programming and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Welcome back for the last 6 or 7 minutes, depending on commercials. You're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM on the Ask Brien radio show, AskBrien.com, with our guest, Jason Hull. Jason, so before we went to break, I had asked a question, and I said, so here's the hypothetical. I'm launching a business. I've got the right name, so I've got the branding messaging down. I've got the right name.
Cool.
I got $2,000, okay, and I want to, I want my business to grow and become great. So I can't spend it on PPC or SEO. What am I going to do?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think even before that, the most important thing is to be really clear on your target audience and where they hang out.
Okay.
I think a lot of people think, oh, the only way I can connect with people is if they find me on Google. And these people sometimes hang out in groups. They congregate at conferences. They hang out at meetup groups. Like, your target audience is pretty easy once you pin it down to figure out, well, where do these type of people hang out? And really, actual deals happen once there's a relationship, and you can just go and connect with people. Sometimes there's online groups, there's in-person groups, but that's community marketing or networking or whatever it might be. If it's relevant and focused on your target audience, that those prospecting methods are going to be far more effective, because you're working, even if you get less leads and less opportunities, they're far more warm, and so the close rate's far higher. And the advantage of warmer leads is that they take way less time to close a deal. So you spend actually less time focusing on the sales side and on growing the business and getting more return.
Well, that's a very interesting concept, though. But your funnel is going to be much smaller if you're doing it that way, and it's going to take a lot longer time to grow it to get to a point where it's self-sufficient. No.
Well, I mean, so for example, say I was going to start a barbershop, so I would need a brand that sounded, clever and was not misspelled, and so that I didn't hurt word of mouth and hurt people trying to find me on Google, which autocorrects. And I need to make sure that I didn't use the same color as everybody else in my market. And there's lots of other rules regarding branding, right?
So Barbers Are Us, and it's going to be green and orange. Okay.
Yeah, probably not Barbers R Us, because generic names generally are really easy for people to forget, right? So Amazon, for example, has nothing to do with books. But all the books online and books.com, they can't compete, because those have generic names, and generic names are easily forgotten, right? So maybe and then you see people that might do another mistake. They'll misspell a word to be clever. So like, all right, we'll be generic and we'll misspell it. So we'll be haircuts with a Z at the end. Really stupid move. So they've got two major strikes against them for being remembered and being found. So if you get the branding on point, so say you're like, I don't know, Green Mohawk barber shop, and then it's very visual. People remember it. You get to own that color in your market, et cetera, right? So you've got Green Barber. So you say your branding's on point. Then the next step is you need to have a good reputation, because it doesn't matter how much advertising you do if your reputation is bad or non-existent, because people check out reviews. People want to know if you're good. And so the number one priority would be to probably start getting some reviews. I'd be reaching out to friends, family. Could you review us? Come in and get a haircut. Tell us how we do. We want real feedback. And you start gathering reviews. And you make that a bigger priority than doing advertising. You build a funnel to get reviews, basically. You have a process where you identify your customers when they're at peak happiness, and that's when you hit them up asking for feedback. And if it's positive, then you say, hey, we'd love hearing that. Would you be willing to share that with us somewhere online? That would really make a difference. And you start to build that up. And then you suddenly, if you do that on multiple channels, you suddenly have all of these warm lead funnels like Google, Yelp, City Search, Angie's List, Zillow, Trulia, Thumbtack, Better Business Bureau, that are now funneling you a small percentage of their traffic, sending you warm leads and business, which is much better than having the top spot on Google. And then after you have all these warm lead channels coming in, you're going to have some more opportunities to get feedback. So this starts to build. And then but you also need to make sure you have a website, right? Because traffic, you're getting this warm traffic, you need something that converts and creates trust. So you need a website. And your website, is one of these other major leaks. And the website has to have at least, the very least, answer 3 questions that people have. First question is, what do you do and where? Basically, is this what I need and what I'm looking for? Like property management in Tucson or haircuts in, Phoenix or whatever, or Los Angeles. And then you need to answer the second question they have, which is, why should I choose you over all of your competitors? What's unique? What's the unique selling proposition? Why should I go to you guys? What do I get there? What's different? What's special? And then the last thing, once they know what you do and why they should choose you to do it over your competitors, the last question they have is they're basically effectively sold or at least committed to maybe doing one next step. You need to give them a call to action. Like, what's the next logical step they'd be willing to take? Ask. Fill out this form for a free, report, or contact us or whatever. And so there needs to be a call to action. And most homepages and most small businesses don't answer those 3 core questions. So they're just leaking money.
That's very good stuff. Alex,
yeah. Jason, you know what you're doing, and it's always a pleasure. It's a pleasure talking to someone who does that. And I think just the knowledge you impart it right there to most of our audience is extremely valuable, because we get stuck thinking about doing our own business and not doing marketing. And I can see where your value works, not just with property managers, but with everybody out there. It's really very true. And I think that it's great. Now, can you take 1 minute, just 1 minute, talk about your virtual business and how you did that? Because I'm sure a lot of people...
You can't, Alex. We have 30 seconds left.
I'm
You'll
sorry.
just have to have me back on the show.
Well, one thing I want to let everybody know is how can they find you and how can they use your services? So let's go over that.
So if they're a property manager or interested in getting into that, or they want to work with us, they can go to doorgrow.com.
And is there a place there, obviously, to contact you and fill out information, correct?
Oh, yeah.
I think it tells them what they do, where they are, why, and a call to action. How's that sound on their website?
Yeah, we've got the basics, for sure.
Well, that's what you need. The unique selling proposition. Of course, price elasticity and a whole bunch of other issues can prop up after you're there. But we're about ready to go. I'm very glad to have you on. We may have you back on shortly because there's a lot more stuff we'd like to go over. Thank you very much, and you're listening to Ask Brien.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in